7th meeting.
Was it on the website as one of the 4 options?
It was not, no. There was,
okay.
South Bixby was included, North was not.
That option C has not been presented for public comment until tonight.
It's been presented as public comment starting on June 10th. So from June 10th, it was posted on the website. The council meeting was on the 7th, where they voted on it. On the 10th, it was presented as a final map, and it's been out for circulation and for comment.
Okay, we can't shoot the messenger. He's a good guy. Okay, before we get into more Q&A, I would like to recognize Connie Zeibel from Supervisor Don Kanabe's office. Supervisor Kanabe is going through the same issue with redistricting, so Connie, thank you for being here. You can go onto his website. Connie is a way for people to participate in this comment period. Is that on your website? Okay, perfect. So, you know, he's done an amazing job for the city of Long Beach. We want to keep him. So please spend some time and help in that respect too. And Jerry Caligiuri is here as a representative of James Johnson's office. At least he was. Jerry, are you here? Thank you. Okay. And let's see, who else? Oh, Jamie Meckes. Jamie, I'd like to invite Jamie to come up to the mic for a minute. She is a community activist, longtime 8th District resident, and she has a short message before we start the Q&A.
By community activist, I think Ray means a crazy person who will donate lots and lots of hours. So you too could be a community activist or leader if you have time. The only reason I think I'm here right now is to just thank the people who did step up and volunteer. I'd like to thank those people now. It's a very short list. I'd like to thank Karen Miller, Bob Gill. I'd like to thank Rick and Sherry Nieto, Levon Miller, Travis Wade, Rich Dempsey, Susan Lincoln, Jim Meyer, Renee and Claire Hunt, and John St. Jocks. Thank you all. We appreciate your help. I did ask to say one more thing. One of the things that the volunteers did do this afternoon, or this past week, was to put together yard signs. That was one of the volunteer efforts that we made. The yard signs took time for us to go up to LA to put them together, and they are available for anybody who would like to display them. Please let me know at the end of the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to do the Q&A, but before we start that, I'd like to remind you, for those of you that are going to have to got one mic? Okay, Bruce.
Yes, Ray, not to discuss maps right now, but really the process. On next Tuesday, is there a commitment from the city, the mayor and the city clerk to have this as an early item on the agenda? I know the last meeting we were down there and waited 3 hours for it to come up on the agenda. So do you have any idea on timing?
I would say bring your protein bars and your bottle of water, because there is a method, a way to disperse people is to put it further down the agenda. I mean, that 3-hour wait was outrageous. I apologize for that. That's all at the decision of the mayor, and hopefully he recognizes that if there's a full chamber, that it would be in his best interest to acknowledge that for everybody. So we'll see. I will certainly ask him to be respectful of that, but I can't guarantee it. So again, come and spend the evening with me. Barbara.
Would you be kind enough to show us your proposal?
Ray, you have an alternative proposal. Do you have that available for us to look at?
You know what, why don't I just walk over to it and I'll find it out. Okay, my proposal that would be the least invasive and least disruptive to the communities was to give Mr. Johnson this triangular piece up here that has 1,287 residents. It borders on Del Amo, and to Orange, to Delamo, to Cherry. Mr. Johnson's argument was that he didn't want to go that far north. He's already that far north. He's already up to Cherry, and he has 1,000 residents right in here. And by the way, I drove for 3 hours yesterday. I drove up and down every street of every proposed map. So I'm doing my homework, and I hope he's doing the same. So we were a little bit short, so I had to find another area that I could add to this triangular piece. And that was the area from 37th Street down to 36th Street. There's a dividing line. It's kind of a natural dividing line. And not that I want to give up the Petroleum Club. I think it's been in the 8th District forever, or Grace Brethren Church. But there's a natural dividing line between 37th North and South. South is condominiums and apartments, and North becomes single-family residential. And it gave us, 168 people that would give us enough people. By the way, we only have to give up 1,311. So why the grab for 3,900 people is beyond me. Okay, so did that explain it to you, Barb? Okay, all right. Mr. Dietz.
This is more in the nature of comments than it is questions. 3 points I'd like to raise. First, I'd like to openly question Mr. Johnson's motives behind what he's doing, and I guess all of us can attend his meeting 2 days hence and direct those questions directly to him. I think it's worth knowing what really driving him. Secondly, I think there's some need to know the history of the BKBIA, or Bixby Knolls Business Improvement Association. It was formed during the first term of office of former Councilman Jeff Kellogg. And were it not for the volunteerism of 3 neighborhood activists from the 8th District, it never would have come into fruition. The business community itself was floundering on getting signatures on petitions to create the assessment district. Fred Schmidt, Patricia Schauer, and yours truly gathered more signatures than did the business community, walking the business corridors on their behalf. And that BKBIA has always been driven by the 8th District Council office. Absolutely.
You know, thank you for
And
sharing
lastly,
that, John.
I think there's some history that needs to be known about the Los Rios neighborhood itself. I've lived in the same house for 41 years this month. The first 18 years, I was in the 7th District. Of those 18 years, the first 16 years, I had absolutely god-awful, abysmal representation on the city council. Had 2 years of Greg Grabinski, a pretty good representation there between the 17th and 18th years. The last 23 years, I've been represented and lived in the 8th District, and have had nothing but kudos for everybody who's been in office in that time, most especially you, Ray, for what you did for the airport. That I endorsed and funded James Johnson for his 7th District race because he talked the better game about protecting my neighborhood from the impacts of 103 feet in the air elevated truck lanes on the west perimeter of the neighborhood, position he's now waffling on. Toward that end, I would be gladly put back into the 7th District where I can help be his conscience on what he ran on for as long as he is in office.
Okay, that's an offer. Okay, there's a map right there.
And my suggestion is that you look at resplitting the Los Rios neighborhood as it was when I bought the house there 41 years ago. Not on the same line though. Look at splitting the neighborhood across the alignment of 37th District. It takes in that would take in the southernmost condo complex on Country Club Drive, known as Country Club Gardens. Would take in my household, would leave Mike Cole in the 8th District, so he can be our next council person. And I don't know the exact numbers, but I have a feeling it comes real close to satisfying that 1,311 folks you need. And if it does not, then put a little extra kink in that map and capture the more northerly condo complex called Country Club Villas, and I assure you that will make the numbers.
Actually, I will tell you, John, I did look at that, and you know, this again is all about compromise, and so I thought, okay, he's going to fight me on what my initial recommendation was. So I looked at that particular area, taking 37th Street from Long Beach Boulevard over to, well, actually 37th Street from Bixby Cafe all the way over to Country Club Villas, and it's shy by about 220 people. I actually proposed that map to the mayor and said we're 222 short, 200 and some short, and he said that he would offer that to James Johnson. James Johnson came back through the mayor. The mayor called me and said, well, he doesn't like that, but he'll take all of Los Cerritos because he wants to keep census tracts together. Well, you know, that's a long shot, but the census tract includes my house, so he can't do that.
Anyway, like I say, if you have to look at taking both of the condo complexes on Country Club that were built in the 70s with the totally corrupt complicity of the former 7th District Councilwoman, both of those were built in total violation of zoning at 4 times the density allowed by law.
Okay, but we're not talking about Tonya. Where are you, Tonya? You had nothing to do with that. And by the way, Tonya Uranga is here, former councilwoman for the 7th District. Thank you, Tonya. She still represents the 7th District, West Side.
I live in the 8th District. I have for over 20 years, but I'm in a little different place with a little different attitude maybe than a lot of folks in the room. I live in North Long Beach. And in North Long Beach, what I find is that we don't have much of a voice because Bixby, this is a big, powerful area. And the same issue is true with the West Side. The West Side has much better representation in a sense, nothing against you, Ray, because they don't have a huge area that's detracting from what they need to accomplish. They have very, very serious issues and problems on the West Side and Wrigley, which are very similar to North. You've got the port, pollution, all kinds of issues. They need strong representation. By doing the move that's being proposed, it will completely disenfranchise the West Side and Wrigley, completely. And I'm really wondering from a minority perspective if it's diluting the minority strength that's already established in the 7th. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori.
I have a question and a comment. And my question is, I don't need his address, but where does Councilman Johnson live?
He lives in the 3700 block of Cerritos Avenue.
Okay, well, that answers that. Power grab.
Cal Heights.
My comment is that you put forth a proposal to the City Council, and your proposal was good. This country was founded on no taxation without representation, and I'd like to put a twist on that, is we've got representation with no representation, and it's criminal what they did. They're not listening to you, they're not listening to us. You are our elected official. This guy's coming in, he's saying, well, I want that, and we should be the ones who give up what we want to give up, not he comes and takes it. So
Again, July 5th. Please.
I'll say it there too.
Okay.
Hi, Councilwoman. My name's Dennis Smith, and I live in the C area. We moved here in 1998, and when we came up here, we saw something on Atlantic Avenue, but we didn't do anything on Atlantic Avenue because there was nothing to do here. I remember the meeting that Jerry Caligari had me go to when they were going to bring in EJs, and they had the public comment about the alcohol license. And that's when, where I live on the alley after Hatchapee, that came in. We started seeing our neighbors streaming through to get to Atlantic to go out to dinner and have a beer. And then we had the Trader Joe's opened up, and we saw people walking back and forth with their groceries. And just slowly as the businesses came, we're in a recession, except on Atlantic Avenue, it doesn't seem to be happening because of this community and the businesses and Ray's office and all the work that's been done to make sure that this part of the city has been thriving where a lot of other places have been going down. And that's just going to get torn apart all of a sudden we have 2 different council people representing it. As a side note, Ray, if they can't redistrict you out of your house, I'd have to talk to my wife, and we may have a spare room you can move into, so they can't take that area. But one other point, the gentleman brought up the point about taxation without representation. If this move is made, then it could be from 2004, when you were elected to office, until 2014, or if nobody runs, 2018, before I have a chance to cast a ballot for city council. I could go 18 years or 14 years, as the other people in the area that you're dislocated, without casting a ballot for representation at City Hall, if this move is made.
I just want to make a quick comment on that. We do have elections every 4 years for council members. So it's actually every 2 years for the city, but it's every 4 years for council members. So if I'm doing the math correctly, if that area were to be moved in the 7th district, you would not vote in the 2012 election, but because it's an odd number council district, but you would be able to vote in the 2014.
Nobody runs against Johnson, there's no election, and I don't get to vote.
If there is no other candidate that the city council appoints, but that is, that's happened in recent times, but in most cases there, have been an opponent. So if there was no opponent, correct, but otherwise, if there is one other opponent, then it would be an election in 2014.
And I'd like to add that if this happens, I'm going to assume there's going to be a number of opponents in 2014. Okay. Any more? Oh, Joan.
Hello, I'm a resident of the Wrigley District since 1986. I've been in the 6th District, I've been in the 7th District. I've lived in Wrigley when we were represented by 3 council districts. And guess what? As a community, we learned how to work with 3 council people, and it worked well. We got the Wrigley Marketplace. We got the port to have a green port program, and I can tell you, it's been a lot of work for us on the west side, John Cross, but it's because we came together and we worked with the council. And I want to point out that these maps were a vote, the one we're considering, was a vote of 5 of 9 council people. It wasn't just one. And yes, in 2001, Wrigley was gerrymandered to death, more so than almost any other district, and it's because we're between 2 districts that have to grow and 2 that have to contract. And if it doesn't happen now, it may happen in 5 years, because if the 9th district continues to grow, more and more of the 9th is going to have to go into the 8th, which means more and more of Wrigley is going to have to go into the 6th and the 1st. But I'll tell you, working with 3 council people has been a joy. From Mike Donlin, Ray Grabinski, Doris Topsy-Elrod, they all work together for the betterment of our neighborhood, our business corridors, and it doesn't detract from the neighborhoods, it enhances the neighborhoods.
Thank you, Joan.
Hi, I've lived in this neighborhood since I was 6 months old. So that goes back before the first jet flew in the United States, which tells you what I feel about the airport. Now, to settle that man's fears, I live over in Bixby Highlands, and we were put in with the 7th. We're over there by where the cemeteries are, if you aren't familiar with the name. We were told that now we would have 2 councilmen fighting on our behalf. So you'll have 2 council people fighting on your behalf. I really don't want to be put in with going farther and farther north, because I can just see it where the 7th is going to end up butting against the 9th the next time they realign. I would rather see straight lines, maybe just, as someone has said, straight down 37th or 36th or whatever it was, to make it, rather than have this gerrymandering. And I really think Long Beach needs to have more council people. 50,000 people per council person is just too many for them to represent. It was fine when we had 150,000 in the 60s. I think we need to have 10, no, maybe 15 now. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Do you know how long those council meetings would last? Right up here, Veronica, next one, okay.
Hi, I'm Tanya. So I just wanted to say thank you, Ray, for having this meeting. I think you pressured the 7th District for having their meeting because there wasn't one when you announced yours. And the 9th and the 8th were the only one that had meetings posted. And so thank you for that. But I'm surprised that there isn't a citywide meeting about redistricting, because what happens in one district is a ripple effect. And even if there's only 1 block or 5 blocks in your district, the city should know what's happening, because some people will wake up one day and say, oh, I didn't know you were my council person, or what happened? I thought I was going to vote this year. And the fact that we didn't have a citywide meeting, I think, does not speak to transparency and participation. The other thing is that I'm wondering if not everyone has computers, not everyone has the website ability, and I know you publish it in the BT, but a lot of people don't read that paper. So is there any other way for someone that doesn't have the technology to get any information? And then I'm going to say 3 questions, and one is, because of the ripple effect, have you had any meetings in Spanish or Cambodian? Those communities are also interested in what's happening, and I was speaking to someone last Sunday, and they said, oh, I can hardly wait till we do redistricting here in Long Beach because I'm really tired of being left out of my community. And I said, well, it's happening now, and they were totally unaware of it. They were aware of the state, but they were unaware of local, and it was because she had no internet access and did not speak English. So I'm concerned that that's being left out. And I do understand what you're saying, Joan. It does take community to try to work with whoever you need to work with, but I really wish my council person would address the lack of unity in the west side and the lack of unity in Wrigley. If he wants to keep neighborhoods together, he should start in the 7th District.
So I think there are 3 questions that were asked for an answer. Whether or not there were citywide community meetings. We have had a number of meetings in the City Council chambers. We started in February with a study session. We had one in March. We had another one in April, and we've had them in May and June. So we've had just about every month a meeting that we've invited everyone to come down to at the City Council chambers. In terms of access to the internet, we are trying to put most of it on the internet, but if someone doesn't have an ability to do that, it's available at every single library. It's part of the City Council agenda packet, and we make sure we make that available. If someone needs an alternate format, you can call me personally. I'm at 570-5091. We'll make sure that you get a copy. And the third is for language translation. We make that available upon request. If there's a request for that at the 7th District meeting, or if there's a request for that at City Council chambers, we have that technology available so that we can conduct those for those that aren't comfortable speaking in English.
Hi, Ray. I'm Brenda St. Hilaire, and I live in the Los Cerritos neighborhood. And on behalf of our neighborhood, I want to thank you for all that you've done for our community. You know, I have a simple question. In order to unify our advocacy efforts and our communication with City Council, is there something that we should call your alternative map? So if, for example, I email Mayor Foster, can I just say, we want blank map? What would you call that alternative?
Yeah, raising. You know, the map that I offered, I think makes the most sense. And I heard the woman loud and clear that said she doesn't want to go any further north, but the reality is that area south of Delano is a mirror image of the neighborhood that crosses San Antonio. The streets run through, the homes were all built at the same time. I invite you to drive it. So, you know, that would be my first choice. My alternate recommendation would the only thing I can figure out, and I'm hoping, you know, there's only so many boundaries, there's only so many options that we have. The only other alternative would be what John offered, and that's to take 37th Street from Atlantic over to Country Club.
So could we give your first choice a name? That way everybody in this room is speaking the same language when we email. I'm sorry?
Raise map.
Raise map. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Brenda. Okay, we're going to take 2 more questions, and then we're going to break into the map groups, okay? If you will, please join us in that. And then we'll come back and share those ideas, and then we'll have some more time for Q&A. Okay.
Hi. I was going to reserve this for later, but I understand that some people may be departing. So believing that brevity is virtuous, I will make this brief. I'm with the League of Women Voters, and in no way, shape, or form do I speak on behalf of the League of Women Voters, but what I do speak on behalf of is my association for the last 4 years with the redistricting process. And I've been going to many observation sessions for redistricting. Although you did, Mr. Is it Modica? Modica, okay. I'm a Spanish speaker, so I tend to break it up like that. At any rate, the communities of interest are defined by the California Constitution as those communities that are represented, they form groups that are looking for effective participation both at the social and the economic level. What we have experienced with Councilwoman Ray Gabelich is the creation of the Historical Society in our neighborhood. That is monumental. I think anybody would concur with that. What great respect for the education of our children. The Historical Society is in my neighborhood, as Mr. Rogers would say. Not only that, this economic corridor has been well developed and monitored. Ray and her committee, her team, has assiduously walked up and down and looked for economic development, has never let go. Look what happened over here when we finally got Marshalls. She was always so polite, and she said, be patient, the Gasca sisters are not easy to deal with. You know, this kind of thing. We have Trader Joe's. We have the Long Beach Shakespeare Theater. These are communities of interest where we have effective social and economic representation. We don't want to tamper with that. Let's keep our community whole and not only accept Ray's maps, but abide by the definition of the California Constitution of communities of interest. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, one more question.
Yeah, my name is Marshall Plasowski, and I live on Linden Ave. And I just wanted to say, I wanted to also thank Ray and Blair have certainly made this Bixby Knolls area, has just brought it to life. And really, it's the only thing that's actually growing and actually doing something in Long Beach. If you look at, it's not really a question, but there's other parts of the city that have been tampered with, the East Village, the Pike, the downtown, Pine Avenue. Millions and millions of dollars have gone in redevelopment funds to these areas, and look at them. The only place that's really growing and actually shows some hope for Long Beach is this neighborhood, which is amazing. It's just amazing. So, you know, I agree with everybody that we're splitting this business district would be horrible. So.
Thank you, Marshall. And you know, I want to say, I mean, I appreciate all the kudos for what we've done, and it's my office team. We have all been together since I took office 7 years ago, which is amazing. And I want to thank them. Jonathan, Veronica, Linda, Rose, they're phenomenal. But the real supporter, the real leadership, actually, where's Blair? Blair Cohn. Blair tells me what he wants to do, and then we do it. That's pretty simple. That's right. So I look forward to working together with him, not only in my final year, but beyond that, because it really is community. One more question? Okay, one more. Veronica, do you have the mic? Where are you? Okay. I think she stepped out with the mic. Okay.
Soon after the airport in El Toro, okay, soon after that was basically turned into a park, I went and I looked at the FAA plans for regional development in this area, okay? At the time, El Toro was the prime airport to expand for satisfying the federal needs, okay, for commerce in this area, all right? What has happened I did a search on the internet and found the plans that were upgraded at that point, and it calls for significant expansion to serve the needs of Southern California, all right? The El Toro as the #1 site for servicing this, okay, was changed, okay? And if you look in the report, I sent copies of this to Jerry Shipsky and our councilman here, but I'm sure they didn't read it closely, because what it said is the prime target for the expansion for all of Southern California, okay, is the Long Beach Airport. Since that time, we have made it easier for the FAA to come in and make those changes without too much of our participation. We've taken money to expand the airport, which says to them, hey, good, they're doing what we want, all right? What happens, okay, is that this council, I'm trying to say is, why is the gerrymandering happening in the first place, all right? The gerrymandering is happening here, okay, to basically provide a hub in the context of an LAX here in Long Beach. And that expansion is being basically supported, okay, by people within the community, led by the mayor at this point. Okay, there's no doubt in my mind they have had direct conversations with the FAA as far as how this needs to be accomplished. And one of the things that needs to be done is to change the ordinance here in Long Beach, okay, which can be done. It will not last forever, okay, especially what's happening now.
Okay, thank you, John. But I will tell you, we are protected by the noise ordinance. And as long as we remain vigilant and make sure that we elect people that understand the possible consequences to that, so that you have someone that's willing to fight to defend the neighborhoods, that is critical.
You're not going to be able to fight with the majority that Foster is putting together on the current city council. Okay?
We're here, aren't we? We're here.
We're here.
Okay.
And I hope it does, but you need information to know what the stakes are. Okay? The impact on the communities will be enormous on the whole city. Okay? For traffic, for pollution, for noise, everything.
Thank you, John. Thank you. Okay, with that, I think we're going to go to the back tables in the back and do the map drawing.